I've had some amazing relationships and heartfelt romances in my life, and I've also seen some of the most painful situations when it comes to love and heartbreak. Yes, this video is about love, romance, and long-term relationships, but more importantly, it's about you. You're going to need a notebook and a pen because we're going to take you through 4 chapters, and each of those chapters will lead you to a deeper level of self-awareness, capacity, awareness, resilience, and effort. Care. That's the algorithm that we present to you so that you become a better lover to whoever is meant to bless your life with their romantic presence. I believe that the first step in finding the right partner is becoming the right partner yourself. So if you're a student, a working professional, or just someone who's trying to figure out what it means to love another human being, this documentary is for you. The one thing I can guarantee is that at the end of today's documentary, you're going to walk away with a better understanding of yourself. And that's the first step in finding love that lasts for the rest of your life. So let's begin. Chapter 1, C. C for capacity. A recent survey named a lack of commitment as the primary reason for their marriages falling apart. Being committed to someone isn't just about updating your relationship status on Instagram. Psychologists have actually studied this. Commitment is said to be the active intention to constantly choose that one person over and over again, consciously, consistently. And unfortunately, most breakups happen exactly because people fail at this. Divorce lawyers see this pattern every single day. Couples make these massive life decisions, moving in together, getting married, having kids. And most of these big decisions are probably based on a gut feeling or vibes. There's a lack of real conversations about what they're actually deciding to do together.
Today, the couples are more interested in their wedding celebrations to be discussed. I think these are very superficial things. There is a lot of commitment that has to go into it. There is a lot of investment in relationship. Please believe that this is where I need to invest my time and invest my emotions and invest my energy into the building up. Of course, do that. It's celebration, it's joy for everybody. But if you make that your focus and not what your relationship is going to be, then unfortunately you will then have to go to courts or to lawyers.
A therapist I talked to put it perfectly. She said, commitment is a muscle. It gets trained every time someone resists the easy exit and turns towards their partner to solve the problem instead. But that muscle needs space to grow. If someone's emotional bandwidth is completely clogged with unfinished business, old heartbreaks, career chaos, untreated anxiety, it's hard to lift someone else's heart. It's hard to love in the manner that one should love. So here's the first pillar: capacity. Going inward to understand if we have the physical, mental, and emotional space for someone else. Whether we've done enough inner work to know who we are and what we have to offer. After countless psychology-themed, romance-themed episodes I've done on my podcast, we've come up with 6 key questions that help you understand yourself better when it comes to this subject of capacity. Question 1. Am I ready to prioritize someone else's needs? 2. Have I had enough romantic and intimate experiences to know exactly what I want next? 3. Can I actually afford to build a life with someone? 4. Am I emotionally available right now? 5. Am I rushing into a relationship because I feel like I'm running out of time? 6. Have I fully moved on from my past relationships. If even one of those questions makes you feel uncomfortable, that feeling might be worth paying attention to. The capacity to love and commit tends to grow when we face our demons, when we set boundaries, and when we take control of our own decisions. Before getting excited about the next match, it might be worth knowing if we can actually hold on to them when the novelty, the freshness of it wears off. Chapter 2 is governed by A for awareness. We often blame ourselves for being confused about love, thinking that we might be broken or immature. But maybe the real issue is that nobody ever taught us the subject of romantic literacy.
Romantic literacy is literally how to love, how to sustain. You will see that the way love transitions in your relationship changes over time. It'll start with, I love you, I can't live without you. 20 years later, maybe it'll just be have you eaten? Are you okay? Are you safe? So romance changes, it transitions. You need to show up, you need to put in the time, you need to put in the work and the investment, the emotional investment into this unit that you want.
Look at what's happening globally. Countries with the highest freedom to choose partners also have some of the highest relationship failure rates. Sweden's divorce rates sit at around 50%. For centuries, marriage in most cultures was simply a social duty, not a personal journey of a young person. The earliest known marriages in places like Mesopotamia around 4,000 years ago were contracts. They were used to exchange land, cement political alliances, and control inheritance. Our grandparents probably didn't stay together out of love. They stayed together out of the obligation of being together. Commitment wasn't a choice because separation wasn't an option back then.
The shift that I see is today's generation, patience is very limited. Marriage is not the only option in life today. You can choose to be single. You can choose to have a live-in relationship. You can choose to have a partner, maybe have for some time and not do that. Unlike, say, 20 years back, where a relationship had to be marriage. We never heard of live-in relationships 20 years back. The important part in this is that it is the awareness of entering into a marriage.
We think chemistry equals compatibility. We mistake butterflies for building blocks. But when someone enters a relationship without knowing what they actually want, they're not just risking their own future. They might be setting up someone else for a heartbreak. This is where awareness comes in. Understanding not just who we are, but what kind of equation we seek in the long term, what kind of relationship we seek. Here's some questions to consider. What is my love language and what do I need to feel loved? Do I want kids? If yes, how many? If yes, then when? How do I handle money? Am I a saver or a spender? Where do I want to live in the long term? How important is my family life to me? And how involved should my parents be in my relationship? What are my actual life goals and how do I visualize my old age? These questions aren't just about self-discovery. They reveal what kind of person might be a good match for you. It seems to be wise to choose someone whose answers are similar to the answers that you have for these key questions. And this is a very important conversation that couples should have before making the big decisions in their life. This isn't just my opinion. This is the opinion of multiple psychologists that I've featured on my podcast. Over the years, we've studied love, we've studied the subject of commitment, we've studied the subject of marriage. And in an age where divorce rates are going up, I believe that it's a wise decision to have this uncomfortable conversation with who you believe is your long-term partner. There's no harm in protecting yourself in the long term, and more importantly, I think it's the right thing to do in order to protect the other person who you think can come along with you in your lifelong romance. Chapter 3 is governed by the letter R, that stands for resilience. You know that feeling when you're walking into a supermarket with 40 different cereals staring back at you, options in front of you. Most of us tend to freeze, grab nothing, just walk out because we're overwhelmed because of the options. That's what dating apps can do to the human mind in the modern day. Here's the thing. If we've already decided on our favorite cereal, all of those choices don't really matter to us. Turns out, the same principle applies to relationships. And science validates this statement. When someone commits to one person, their brain literally rewrites itself for happiness. Research from the Harvard Medical School shows us that long-term couples produce higher levels of oxytocin and vasopressin, the bonding hormones that in the long term give human beings a sense of deep satisfaction and emotional stability. Epigenetics is a new field of biology that tells us that there's certain aspects of your genome that are predetermined, like the shape of your nose, your skin color, your height. But there's a part of your own genome that gets slightly altered based on your own behavioral patterns, based on your life choices. And one of the key factors that affects your epigenetic journey positively is your love life. The person you choose to love. Cuddling sessions, memories that you're creating with them. These little aspects of what we understand as love can actually affect our biology in the long term. In today's world, everything is programmed to give us short bursts of happiness instead of giving us something more long-lasting. Most dating apps are designed to simply keep us swiping. They use the same systematic processes to flood our brains with dopamine every time we match with someone. Research shows us that users develop something called a rejection mindset, where their acceptance rates drop by 27% as they see more profiles because their brains get overwhelmed by the choices in front of them. And even if we decide to give someone a chance, in the modern day, social media doesn't let us feel satisfied with what we have. Our DMs are filled with compliments from random people. The number of likes on our photos tends to convince us that maybe there's something better out there for me. We're with someone real while our phones keep showing us content designed to make us doubt what's actually real and what's with us in the present. Relationship advice that makes normal problems seem toxic. Couple goals that make our partner look like a bare minimum partner. Stories that make us feel like we're wasting time. Our algorithms are literally training us to be unsatisfied.
Dating app culture is affecting marriages in terms of extramarital affairs. But you know, these options are so temporary, that's what they should realize. None of these options which are available are long lasting. That is why in a relationship, you do need to understand very, very clearly that you need to have that commitment, come what may be the temptations, come what may be the options available. It may sound old school, but believe you me, a commitment will give you long-term results.
And this is where resilience comes in. Resilience means staying when things get boring, when things get messy, when things get uncomfortable. When we realize that maybe our partners aren't perfect. When the butterflies die down. When the honeymoon phase is over. When we realize that we're left with an actual human being who's got flaws, who's got opinions, and maybe we don't agree with their opinions and don't enjoy their flaws. Here's some questions for the sake of self-reflection. Key questions that will tell you how resilient you truly are. Firstly, am I addicted to the feeling of being wanted by new people? Do I use social media validation to avoid dealing with relationship problems? Am I more invested in how my relationship looks online than how it makes me feel? Do I sabotage good things because uncertainty feels more exciting than stability? Now, my recommendation is to take a screenshot of these questions so that you help yourself in your self-awareness journey. Let's move on to chapter 4. Chapter 4 is governed by the letter E. E stands for effort. They say that in the long term, relationships are about hard work and relationships can get boring. But what if this term boring is exactly what long-term commitment is all about? Psychotherapist Esther Perel calls it work that lets love last. Doing the little things more often. That's what keeps commitment going in the long term. Effort has two parts that many fail to understand. Firstly, refueling. These are shared dopamine experiences that keep the spark of a relationship alive. Planning surprises, trying new things together, creating your own little inside jokes, regular physical touch, regular kisses, cuddling sessions, celebrating small wins. But as important as refueling is, the flip side of effort in relationships is conflict resolution. Just another life skill that I think we should learn about in school or college, because it's not just limited to your professional life. Conflict resolution is a central subject when it comes to romantic literacy. It's all about knowing how to fight, disagree, and apologize without breaking each other. It's about knowing our defense and coping mechanisms, addressing the actual issue instead of attacking the person. Conflict resolution is such a complex subject that I believe it requires its own documentary, and I'd love to hear your opinions in the comment section. But without diving too deep into this subject, one of the best pieces of advice that I ever got on romance and love was from the monk Gauranga Das. He said that the best relationships are about tolerance and service. Tolerance for our partner's flaws and quirks, and service, actively looking for ways to make their life better without expecting anything of them. After more than 100 conversations with monks and spiritualists, I've realized that all forms of expectation lead to some form of human suffering. The goal is to completely eliminate expectation as an emotion from your own mind, especially when it comes to your love life. Now, while it's difficult to reduce your own expectation in your head, an easy means to help you work on the chapter governed by E. An easy means to help you elevate your own sense of effort is to ask yourself some key questions. Do I actively create excitement and novelty for us? Do I make my partner feel desired? Do I celebrate their small wins? When we fight, do I focus on solving the issue? Can I apologize without defending myself? Do I understand my partner's love language completely, even if it doesn't match with mine? Do I make efforts for them, keeping their love language in mind? If the answer is mostly yes, Perhaps you might be ready to sustain long-term love. Mostly no. Might mean that someone else might end up carrying the weight until they get tired and choose to drop it. In fact, with most older couples that we interacted with for the course of this documentary, the love that lasted has usually lasted from a place of sacrifice, from a place of putting your partner's needs and their wants and wishes ahead of your own. Falling in love costs nothing. Keeping love alive costs energy every single day. Before promising anything serious, it might be worth asking if we're actually ready to budget that energy and not just spend it on the initial thrill. Ladies and gentlemen, that was our first documentary when it comes to this very wide subject called love. And now, all I wish to say is that it was so difficult for me to go about the writing process of this documentary. My entire team, which is full of singles, had a bit of a tough time. Lots of our vulnerabilities, lots of our own shortcomings came to the surface for the sake of this piece. Most of these documentaries that we're creating is simply a deep dive into trying to become better for myself. And I'm sure that my team feels the same way. We are trying to improve our own lives and our own mindsets through presenting the best possible documentaries for you. So I genuinely hope you enjoyed it. And all I have to say is that if my wife is watching this, I hope you had fun as well. And maybe once we're married, we'll watch this documentary together once again.